On the G7 summit, I spoke to William Courtney. He's an adjunct senior fellow at the RAND Corporation.
Well, it was G7, that's for sure. But President Trump took a different position on climate change, which made the summit seem more divisive than it should be. You know, in some respects, what he's doing is somewhat similar to what President George W. Bush did after the Kyoto Protocol. You'll recall in 1997, President Gore signed the Kyoto Protocol, which was the first international effort which would have bound only developed countries to reduce greenhouse gas emissions. But when Vice President Gore signed that, it was clear the U.S. Senate would not ratify it. President George W. Bush, when he came to power a few years later, said he was no longer interested in that. So this is somewhat a replay of that.
Well, you say replay, but we're a lot further advanced in global climate change agreements than Kyoto, and the White House is going to make a decision over the next week or so to be in it or out of it. If they're out of it, this is a big split with its main industrial partners, yes?
Well, you're right that this is a big advance. So Paris includes all countries. One of the main U.S. complaints about Kyoto was it obligated only developed countries. This one includes all countries. But if the president does not see fit to give strong support, not just approve it, but give strong support, the U.S. Senate is probably not going to be eager to ratify it. So one of the lessons learned from both Kyoto and Paris, of course, is that we need to have bipartisan support in the United States Congress for climate change agreements going forward, or they may not prosper.
On other issues, trade, refugees, there was also big differences as well. The European press very much criticizing the stance of the Trump White House over these.
Well, on trade, for example, the president did agree to resist protectionism and to be bound by rules-based international trade arrangements. Now, that's really important because in the campaign, President Trump, or candidate Trump then, talked about imposing unilateral trade tariffs against Mexican imports and Chinese imports. Well, that would be contravention of the rules-based World Trade Organization. So what the president accepted at the G7 on trade actually was a pretty significant walk back from his earlier campaign rhetoric.
What about the optics? Because we did see some weird photo ops. We saw him following the G7 leaders in a golf cart when they were walking. A lot of these international summits, especially his first foreign trip, are sort of decoded through pictures and photo ops, and we didn't really have a press conference at the end either. How do you think this will go down here in the United States?
I think those matters, including the question of brushing past the leader of Montenegro, got a little attention, but those won't be important here in the United States.